Hi, welcome back to misformeeple. My name's Mitch.
And I'm Morgan, and today we're going to do an overview and review of Azul Queen's Garden.
So in Azul Queen's Garden, players are commissioned to design the best garden for the queen. And the way you do this is by drafting tiles of either the same color or pattern, placing the tiles into your garden, extending your garden, and then scoring points over 4 different rounds. In Azul Queen's Garden, there are 6 different colors and 6 different patterns that can be on the tiles for a total of 36 unique tiles in the game. On your turn, you can take one of 4 actions. Players will take turns declaring a color or a pattern to collect from the display area, place a tile from their supply by paying the appropriate cost, placing a garden expansion by paying the appropriate cost, or choosing to pass. When paying a cost to play a tile or garden expansion, players can pay the cost with either the same color or the same tile, but not both, and they can use the joker tiles as wilds. And players start with 3 joker tiles in their supply. The cost to play each tile is located on your player board here.
Once all players have passed, round scoring can begin. Azul Queen's Garden is played over 4 different rounds. In the first round, these tiles will score. In the second round, these tiles will score. In the third round, these tiles will score. And in the final round, these tiles will score.
Alternatively, you can play on the other side of the map where these conditions will score.
When placing a tile or garden expansion from your supply, they can be placed in any light green hexagon. When placing a tile next to an adjacent tile, a few placement rules apply. They either have to be the same matching color or the same matching pattern. If a player ever encircles a fountain, bench, statue, or pavilion, extra joker tiles are then added to their supply, indicated on your player board here.
Once the 4th round is over, we then go to final scoring. Players will get 1 point for every extra joker tile they have remaining in their supply, and then subtract points based on the value of tiles that are remaining in their supply. Each player scores any groups of at least 3 hexagons matching the current evaluation, and you'll use this evaluation marker to keep track of what you and other players will be scoring, starting with blue and working your way down. When scoring a group, you add up the value of each tile and move your score marker accordingly. If your score marker ever makes it all the way around the board, get one of these 60 tokens to indicate 60 points and keep on moving along the board. Now these aren't all the rules to the game, but that's a pretty good overview to give you an idea on how it's played. Alright, so what do you like about Azul?
I really like the addition of the patterns that were included in this one, because you not only had to think about the colors that you were drafting, you also had to consider the patterns that were on those tiles, and how you can fit those into your board. Because in this game, you can't have the same exact tile be part of any chain, so you can't have like the purple tulips, like the dark purple tulips. You can't have 2 of those in the same chain.
Is that what the 5s are?
Or
Are the 5s tulips?
I think so. But you can't have 2 of them touching, so you kind of have to like think. It adds just an extra layer of strategy, I think. What did you like about it?
I liked how it was a little bit more in depth, how it had like a couple more layers of strategy from the base Azul. And we've only played the base Azul, so that's really all I have to compare it to. I know we've like gotten Summer Pavilion for my mom, and which one did we get for your mom? What's the other one called?
Stained Glass of Sintra.
Yeah. So it's like we haven't played those 2 yet. So I'm only going off of base Azul. It's where how base Azul is very simple of only getting identical tiles. This one is same color and same pattern and completing different sets to where I feel like it was two steps up from base Azul, to where like I'm hoping one of the other Azuls kind of has a middle ground to it, because
I
this
think
was
they do, because I've heard that this one is the most complicated
yeah,
Azul.
it definitely felt that way. It took a little bit longer to learn than the other one.
Well, yeah, and each tile has their own different score. Like they all
Yeah.
score differently, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like the tulips will score more than the trees.
I thought
So
that would make it some of them more enticing to take than others, but with how you have to pay the cost to place the
yeah.
the more expensive tokens or tiles,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a good way to balance it.
Yeah, I agree. I also really enjoyed just how it looks on the board. Like you can almost imagine like, oh, all of these flowers are surrounding this beautiful pavilion, or all the
Mm-hmm.
birds are flocking by the fountain. Um, it looks really pretty with the combination of colors and symbols, and um, the different like garden landmarks that they have in there, like the benches and stuff. It looks really pretty on the board. Not that any of the other rules didn't look pretty, but I just
Yeah.
really, this one looks more. I don't know. It feels like you're building a garden, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I always like the theme of
Mm-hmm.
these Azul games, especially with like the chunky tiles. It just
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
the patterns definitely pop on them. I'm kind of getting into more of what I don't like about the game now. Do you want to start doing that?
Yeah. We
So where
can.
a couple things I just didn't like about the game is using two different shades of purple. There's dark purple and light purple, and dark green and light green. To where a few times I got some light purple, and then when I got it on my supply board, I put it right next to the dark purple, and I was like, oh, that's not the color I needed. So I would I wish they would have just used like red and like orange or something like that, and instead of similar colors.
I would have to agree, especially when like looking at like the round scoring. It can be a little tricky because you'll be like, oh, purple scores this round, but then you have to watch because it's light purple.
Mm-hmm.
So especially if you're playing it in like not good lighting, sometimes those can look really similar. I'm not sure why they chose to do two different colored purples and two different colored greens, or two different shades of them,
Mm-hmm.
when they could have easily, like Mitch said, just included red and orange to make it different. Um, or they could have even included pink if they wanted to keep it more like
Well,
flowery
then I
themes.
feel like pink kind of is a shade of red, you know.
Yeah, but it's different enough. It's not just a lighter shade,
Yeah,
darker shade. Um, yeah, to where that was tricky sometimes, for sure.
yeah. I mean, I also feel like the game was a little bit daunting to learn. Like reading through the rule book, it was like, oh, there's 108 tiles in here, and I'm just pulling out bag upon bag of tiles, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a bit much at first, but knowing base Azul and just like that tile mechanic helped a little bit. But it's definitely, if you're introducing this to someone, I feel like you need like something in between. Like I said, just base Azul and this.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's, if you are a fan of the original Azul, trying to introduce them to this one right after that, I agree. I'm thinking it might be a
Yeah,
little too
there's just a
overwhelming at
little bit
first,
more strategy
because
with
there's
how you're
just
matching
more
up the patterns and
there's more
colors.
rules, and the scoring is a little, it's way different than
Mm-hmm.
the base Azul. To where I feel like, I know we haven't played Summer Pavilion or Stained Glass of Sintra, but I feel like those would be more of a middle weight
Mm-hmm.
compared to this one. So
Now it's good, but I mean, would you gravitate towards this or base Azul? Like, which one would you prefer to grab?
I think I've
Is it would it be based on who you're playing with, or just?
Well, you definitely have to consider who you're playing with. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you and I were gonna play Azul, I would much rather play Queen's Garden,
Okay.
because there's more strategy and there's more layers to it. And because we are more in the board gaming hobby, I kind of look for more games that involve more strategy. But if I'm in, just want to show Azul to somebody, or if I'm playing with our parents, I think definitely base Azul for sure, just because it's
Right.
so much more accessible.
Yeah, with our families, we're playing more lighter games, and when it's just me and you, we're kind of getting in more
And
medium
just
heavy.
Right. And I actually really enjoyed like the thinkingness of this game, like trying to think about which tiles you need to take in order to pay for a tile that you want to place. Um, Yeah, there's just so many layers to it, I feel like, in this one. All right, what about you? Would you rather play this one
Um,
or Base Azul?
I think I'm leaning more towards Base Azul. I
Really?
feel like this says it's 45 to 60 minutes. It was roughly that for us. Probably
But we had to take in learning the game also.
that's true,
I feel like
but
the more and more we play it, the faster we can get at it.
I like how quick Base Azul is. How fast we
Mm-hmm.
get it done. Just of all the factories of drafting the tiles from that, I feel like it goes really smoothly on how you play that one
Mm-hmm.
versus this one. I feel like there is a bit of analysis paralysis, and I do like that about the game, but at the same time, I think I would just almost always go Base Azul. Like this would be good if you're burnt out on Base Azul and you need to change it up a bit
Yeah.
and play something else, but you like the tiles and want a similar mechanic.
I agree. I feel like Base Azul is just a classic that will, never get old. It will always be on our shelf. Um, I did think of one more thing that I didn't quite like about this one. Um, the round scoring. So in each round, like two colors will score and one pattern will score. And sometimes it can be really tricky, especially if that color, that pattern doesn't come out. And then you don't have enough to pay for that tile. Like if you don't, then nobody can score that. And it's kind of tricky.
Mm-hmm.
And then you almost don't want to take that color or that symbol or pattern in
Mm-hmm.
future rounds because while they'll still score if you have like groups of them, you won't get the like bonus points because that round is over. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it does flip a little bit. The first round, it's two colors, one pattern, and then the second round, it's two
Okay.
patterns,
Yeah.
one color. So it rotates back and forth between
Mm-hmm.
how that scores. But it's when we played, you looked at the round two scoring to where you didn't get any round scoring points the first round,
Right.
but then it's like you set up that second round to where it's like you got a bunch of points because you set that up twice.
That's true. That does kind of play into the strategy. So if like you're in the first round, you notice everybody is going for, the lime green tiles because that scores in that round.
Mm-hmm.
You could look at round two and be like, oh, I know that light purple is going to be scoring. Nobody's taking these light purple tiles. I'm going to get all of these,
Mm-hmm.
fill up my board, and while I won't get points this round, next round I'm going to get a ton of points because I set myself up. So that aspect of it is nice. But that is another layer of the strategy that we were talking about is like planning and choosing really wisely which tiles you want to take. And if you have enough tiles to pay to even place that tile.
That's yeah. Do you try and get points this round, or you
Want
or
to
you
wait.
wait and try and get like the tile or color that's
Mm-hmm.
worth 3 points in round three?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good. It's thanky, but I mean, I also don't think it's for everyone. I think if you like Azul and you're ready to move up, that this is for you. But if Base Azul is enough for you and you don't want any more in depth strategy to it, then
Mm-hmm.
then I don't think this is for you.
I still want to introduce this one to my parents. I think our first play will probably be a little rough just because of the scoring and the way that you have to pay to place a tile on this one is so different than Base Azul. I
Mm.
think it might be just a little confusing for them the first time that we play. But I think, once we have a couple games in, I think they'll understand the flow.
I feel like you almost need to play two games back to back in this
Right.
one, with the first game being just focused on paying cost for placement and then actual placement rules,
Mm-hmm.
with not focusing on who's going to win and then just showing at the end of the game with your full board on how scoring works. And then once you play that game, I feel like everyone will have like a much better concept of a strategy on how to go into it.
Yeah, that I agree because after we did the round scoring and then we did the final scoring, I was like, "Oh, okay, I should have done better at like connecting sets of 3."
Right.
Like I didn't put that together when we were first learning the game. I was just like, "Okay, I'm going to make sure all of my symbols are touching," but I never had like, sets of colors
Yeah.
together to score those points.
I know
So,
I had two different sets of trees and I couldn't connect them because they had the same they had an identical tile in them. I had light purple in both.
Yeah, and I had that a couple times too, where I was like, "Oh, perfect! I can connect my trees or connect my birds," and then I took it into my supply, and I was like, "Oh, I already have that identical piece in this chain, so I can't place it. So that was like a wasted turn. Why did I grab that?" So you really have to look at your board and look at the tiles that are connecting, because if you have an identical piece anywhere in that connection, you can't place a second identical piece in that line. So that can be really tricky, especially when you're trying to, fill up your board. But that's our review of Azul Queen's Garden. I really enjoyed it. I do think it's the most complicated, from what I've heard, it's the most complicated Azul. Again, we've only played base game. We have access to the other two. We just haven't played them yet.
It's good. It's a little heavier than I thought, which isn't a bad thing, just not for everyone.
Definitely a lot of strategy in this game, for sure. But if you're interested in purchasing Azul, be sure to check your friendly local gaming store first. If you don't know where that is, just Google board game store near me, and then it'll come up.
And the closest board game store to us is Recess in North Olmsted, Ohio. And they'll be linked in the description down below if you're also in the area and want to check them out.
But thanks so much again for watching. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what your favorite Azul game is.
Let us know if you've played this or if you played the other ones, and let us know how they sort of rank via weight.
Yeah, we're really curious to see how the other ones are. I really want to play Stained Glass of Sintra. I got that from my mom because she loves Azul, but I haven't played it with her yet.
And we got Summer Pavilion from my mom for Mother's Day for when we go on our beach vacation.
So let us know which one we should play first out of those two, and which Azul is your favorite. And if you liked Queen's Garden, if you've played it.
Thanks for watching. My name's Mitch.
And I'm Morgan. And we're misformeeple.
Later, peeps.